What is up, YouTube? What is it like to transform, or even completely change hobbies all in a short amount of time and not know why? This is a mental health discussion for the day. I haven't done a video like this in a while that I feel like anyways. But what was the thinking behind selling most of my retro games, most of my video game collection, calling it quits for collecting in general for games, and then picking up a healthy variation of it for sports cards? Now, what do I mean by healthy variation? Actually sticking to my guns, actually collecting the right way instead of mass buying, and basically feeling addicted to buying, shopaholic wise, and just grabbing games. Now, I will admit that in the beginning of my sports card collecting, I kind of went a little overboard with some stuff, but I think it was my experience with what happened during the retro game collecting. I was able to kind of nip it in the bud out the bat. But yeah, I had this discussion with my wife the other night because she had asked about it, because I had spent how many years buying these games, and then all of a sudden one day something just clicked, and I was able to sell a lot of it and not really, what do I want to say, not really look back or regret it. She just couldn't understand why there was something that I loved so much, and then I was able to have no problem getting rid of. And obviously this is a mental health issue, and you know, at one point we were almost wondering if it's well, I should say some people were actually commenting one time, worried that it might be some signs of depression or something like that, that a hobby I once enjoyed or once loved no longer brought me joy or made me happy. And I would have to admit that I was kind of pondering that too. Being self-aware about something like this is pretty hard to think if you think about it. But what it really came down to is, I think one day it was like something just happened. You ever just had like a logic or common sense thing where everybody's telling you one thing but you do not see it, and then also one day it just clicks? Like learning something that you've tried 100 times and you can't get it, and then one day almost like muscle memory just takes over and you finally do it. And I think that's what it was with the gaming. I was like, okay, now why do I have this game? I'm never gonna play it. I don't want it. Okay, I got these games, but I have 4 different versions of this game. An example would be like Skyrim or something. Okay, I have it on Xbox 360, I have it on Xbox One, I have it on PS5. Why do I have so many variations of this when I would mostly just play it on a modern console? And that's happened a lot with a lot of the retro games. So like right now I have a Retron 5 hooked up over here with Jackal in it for NES. And you know, now I have the options of Game Boy Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and stuff like that. Why exactly do I need the consoles when I can just play this way? And to be honest, to me it seems a lot better, but that's just me. Obviously there'll be the people out there, gatekeepers or anything like that, that'll be like, oh, hardcore hardware, oh. I should make that a new series, hardcore hardware. Yeah, Koi Fish Gaming, if you're watching this, man, just there you go. That's your new series, hardcore hardware. But yeah, it's really just kind of like, it's very just strange. And I was able to think logically for once in my head. Now, this isn't for everybody. Obviously, this is just the way it is for me. But I was like, okay, and then I sold stuff. I got my money, got whatever for it, and I was able to make memories with my families. Last year we went to a Hawkeye game, and I was able to sell stuff to do that. This year I was able to sell some more stuff to purchase, to get some extra funds for a trip we got planned coming up. And yeah, it was like, okay, now this is easier. And then on top of that, you know, it's not that I hate gaming or anything. I think it was more along the lines that something just made me think, okay, I am a gamer. I'm not a collector. I love gaming. And I was focusing so much on the collecting aspect of it that I forgot about the gaming aspect of it. that I loved games. I've been playing ever since I could hold a controller, and I love talking about games. And so I was more focused on buying games to make content, or to just maybe vainly have, down here, be like Smog or a dragon sitting on their piles of treasure and stuff like that, and not really sharing it with the world besides obviously content on YouTube. But other than that, besides me and my son coming down here and playing games and stuff like that, I really had no purpose in owning all this stuff. And that's what I mean by it was very weird how that just suddenly clicked in my head that day. And yeah, a lot of people, this doesn't work for a lot of people. I get comments, sometimes with everybody's like, I watched your videos and it made me think, and what you said made a lot of sense. Now, I'm not trying to be like I said, be vain about that, being like, oh man, I'm helping people, I'm doing all this stuff, But I think that's what kind of helped me a little bit. I started watching some people selling their stuff, like big name people. I mentioned as much as I don't really watch his content or enjoy it, but RGT85 was one of the few people that I watched. I was trying to see if it was just clickbait, but he actually sold most of his collection. And then when he did that, I was like, okay. And then, he just kind of said, wiped his hands with it and said, I'm cool, man. Sold it all, and then just went on with his life. And to me, I was like, in my thinking at the time was, how could somebody do that? All the years of buying those games, all that stuff, having that cool game room or whatever, how could somebody do that? And then, like I said, it just was like weird how I was like, okay, well, you know what? That actually doesn't sound that bad. And I started off small, and the snowball turned into a snow boulder, and I was able to comfortably get rid of a bunch of stuff. It's still kind of just weird. Like I don't know obviously what the thinking behind it was. And then of course it was kind of scary when I started, getting into sports cards a little bit and stuff like that. But I've always been a big sports fan. I love football, and this is sharing my love for it. And obviously, my youngest son was not that huge into gaming the way it is. I mean, he enjoys some games here and there with me, but this was something we could share. We were, watching some streamers open packs and kind of talk about sports cards together. And then he asked me, can I get some packs of cards? So then we started doing that together. And as a kid, I loved collecting cards. I was huge into baseball and football. And so this was something that I could share with him and that we could do together. Like tonight when we went grocery shopping, we were able to buy a couple packs together. And then we got in the car, and while we were waiting to get going, we both opened our packs and had a fun experience pulling cards together. And any, Chiefs player that I got, he got those cards, and any Steelers player that he got, I got those cards, and then otherwise, he kept most of them. I just like to have, like I said, I just like to keep the Steelers players because that's what I collect. And that's a key thing too, is making sure that I stick with what I'm collecting. The other aspect was, at first I was like, okay, I'm going to buy these cards, and if I get stuff that I don't want, I'll use it for trade stuff. But then that was the wrong way of thinking it too, because let's face it, a lot of times it's harder to trade and do stuff like that unless you're really into doing that. I found out in the beginning that as fun as it is to break packs, to break boxes and stuff like that, in the end you end up with a bunch of stuff you really don't want. So I went from buying, wanting to buy blaster boxes and doing all this stuff to actually just going for singles now. I don't really have one with me to show you, but back here behind me is my Cooper DeJean collection that I kind of started. He was an Iowa player that had the pick 6 in the Super Bowl, and it's been so fun to be able to find a player, and specifically also, like I said, a team of the Steelers, and just focusing on them, and some Nebraska players and stuff like that too. So yeah, what has it been like to switch hobbies up and completely just do a 180 with some of this stuff? It feels like, and that's kind of, it's been fun. And I've just been like, I've been having a lot more fun with YouTube. I haven't been feeling like I've been forced to make videos, push stuff out. I've been just having fun doing quick shorts here and just talking with you guys, and it's just making it fun, guys. I'm actually been enjoying a lot of my stuff. That's why I don't think that, like, when I was pondering whether or not it was depression or something, that I just found out that I don't enjoy the hobby anymore. I don't think it really was depression. I think it was just it wasn't me anymore. I was evolving, I was adapting, you know, I was growing, not growing up necessarily, but maturing in what I wanted to do elsewise. So it was just nice to take a break from that. So let me know what you think about in the comments below, guys. Have you ever experienced anything like this, where something that you really enjoyed, one day you were just kind of like, I'm done, and I'm fine with it? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments below, guys. As always, stay retro, my friends. God bless. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great week.